Hey the YouTube, it's Gundam73 making another episode of Knife Talk, and today we're going to be talking about overall knife width, not the handle thickness. We're talking about width in this dimension here. And I have a few knives out here that are either pretty wide or not very wide at all. And I'll start with the narrower ones. One nice thing with a narrow knife like this, or this way, is that it takes up a lot less room in your pocket. If you're carrying, say, a Kershaw Skyline, right, which has a 3¼ inch blade, and you're carrying a ZT-0350, which has a 3¼ inch blade, so you're getting the same amount of blade length, but look at the difference in overall width between these two knives. That Skyline, in addition to being lighter weight, it's taking up a lot less physical room in your pocket. So you could see that if I just had the 0350, superimposed the Skyline on it, you can see that, if you're behind it here, the 0350 completely eclipses the Skyline when it's behind it. Hey, there it is. Didn't even know I had a knife back there. The whole point of that, is that, sort of related to handle thickness, when you have a wide knife, like the 0350, it feels a lot more substantial in your hand. You know what I'm saying? So if, and sort of a nice thing, if you're relegated to carrying a small knife, say 3.25 inches, you can have a choice. You can have, say, the Skyline, which is on the smaller spectrum for a 3.25 inch knife. So you're still getting, the same blade length between both of these, but this one is going to feel substantially smaller. In addition, to weight and width, in the pocket it'll take up less room and your hand will take up less room. But let's say you like larger knives and you still have to carry just this size, you still get that legal limit, but it really fills your hand up. The 0350 feels like a big knife, but it's actually really small. That's sort of what's funny about it. Most people they tend to think of it as a larger knife, but really it's just bulkier and heavier compared to like a Skyline, which is about Skyline is still shorter overall, but they have the same blade length, which is interesting. Other examples here, we have the Cold Steel Voyager. This one's a very wide knife, I noticed. I got it. And I tend to think that Spydercos are pretty wide, like the military. But sorry, let's see if it eclipses the military. The military is a bit longer, but you can see that the Voyager is a huge bit wider. If I get on the other side here, you can really see how much wider it is. It's a very wide knife. In your pocket, that takes up a lot of room. But the other advantage to having such a wide blade even is that this will tend to shear more. Like if you're cutting something and you're cutting through, I don't know, what would be a good example? Anything you're cutting. If you're cutting with something that's wider, it'll sort of split it apart easier, at least in my experience. And it's also, that's sort of what it is. It'll cut better because it's wider and it's sort of shearing through almost a wedge effect. If you have a narrower knife, it'll just not do that. The tilt is also a wide knife. It's kind of funny how all my larger knives, sorry for the bump there, kind of funny how they're all kind of on the wide side. But when I had these first, I thought they were both pretty wide, and then the Voyager came along, and that thing was insanely wide. So you can see that the tilt is also narrower. One knife that really packs a lot of blade into a narrow package, in my opinion, is the Sebenza. Both sizes, but the small even more so. You can see that, you get a pretty wide blade on this. Let's see what I got here. Skyline. It's about the same width as the Skyline, but it feels narrower in my hand than the Skyline, probably because it's also a little shorter, but overall this is a pretty wide blade. It'll do most what you have to do. I'd say it's less than 1 inch wide. And then some of these here, like the Voyager, are probably north of 1.5, 1 3/4 inch wide, which is pretty wide for a blade. Whoa. And even wider overall, probably 2 inches. Yeah. But even the large Sebenza, it packs a lot of blade into a small package. I mean, if you compare a large Sebenza to any of these, it'll be similar in terms of cutting edge, but it'll just be much more compact. Which is so what some people want. Some people want the most in a small package. Some people want, something much more substantial in their hand. Really, it boils down to personal preference. It's just something that I've noticed that can make a big difference when carrying a knife. So, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate the views. Requests are welcome, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.